You don't need a better training plan to make 2026 your best year of running. You need a better relationship with the sport, and that's what this video is about. Hi, I'm Shauna, this is Shauna's World. Welcome back to my channel where I make videos for regular runners sharing the honest, unfiltered journey. For a long time, I thought progress was about always doing more, and that meant more pressure, which ultimately led to me not achieving my goals. I've just had one of my hardest years in running so far, and I am using that as motivation for a much better 2026. I'm not a coach, and I'm definitely not the fastest runner. I'm just someone who keeps showing up year after year, trying to work out how to fit in running around real life and make everything work. So in this video, I'm sharing the mindset shifts, the small decisions and the honest reflections and the intentions I'm taking with me into 2026 and inviting you to take with me. So if you want 2026 to be your best year of running so far, this is where I'd start. Get clear on your goals. So which are the most important and which are just kind of nice to have? And what are the stepping stones to your biggest goals? Keep your biggest goal at front and center so it's kind of your North Star of everything you're working towards. For example, having something that keeps your goal in mind on your phone wallpaper, having post-it reminders on your mirror, and reminder notifications for the steps you need to take to work towards your goal. Writing your goal down has scientific evidence that it will help that goal come into fruition. There was a study that was done at one of the big universities, and they got all the people to set goals, but some of the people to write it down and some people just to make the goal in their mind and not write it down. And significantly, the people who wrote down their goal did better at achieving those goals. The next thing I'd recommend is treating your training plan with the utmost respect while also maintaining some flexibility around it. Whether you write your own training plan or use an app like Runner or find a generic plan online, or if you're lucky like me and have the privilege of working with a qualified coach who writes your plans, it's important to actually stick to the plan while also maintaining some flexibility when life is lifing and you can't just follow everything verbatim. I know some people who treat their plan as a mere suggestion, and I also know people who follow their plan so rigidly it doesn't allow space for being human. Honestly, I had a big wake-up call in how I approach my plan in 2025. I always have the intention of sticking to my plan, but when juggling it around a full-time job and social interactions and a side hustle and personal connections and chores, and also having quite bad executive dysfunction, if I missed a session, I'd just end up saying, okay, well, at least I've done most of my sessions this week. I've only missed one. I haven't done so badly. And I kind of let myself off the hook for it. Then some weeks I was really busy, work, staff, travel, and I missed more than one session. Occasionally I'd hit every session in the week, but honestly, those weeks were probably more of an exception than a rule. And yes, of course it's true that one missed session in a week is not the end of the world. But because in my mind that was an acceptable option, or that was kind of doing vaguely okay, I let it happen far too frequently, which meant across the course of my training, building up to my ultra, I probably only did about 75% of the sessions in my plan, which just isn't enough. And it really made me reflect on how I approach training in 2026. Going into the start of this year, I'm reminding myself that every session in my plan is there for a reason. And if I miss too much, my overall training volume will just be too low to succeed. And I won't perform on race day because I'll be undertrained. In 2026, I will be listening to my training plan while also making sure I'm listening to my body too. The next thing I'd recommend is leaning on other people. Running community is wonderful. You might be in a running club, you might have friends who run, you might be in runners' Facebook groups or WhatsApp chats. You might not be connected to other runners but still have support from a spouse or friends that makes it possible for you to run. Other people can be so helpful for helping you to reach your goals. For me, a big thing is having accountability buddies. So people in my running club, we're an online running club and we have a Discord chat with an accountability channel, and you can post in there saying, this is what I plan to do, this is when I plan to do it, and I'll check back in when I've done it. And then if you haven't got out, the other people in the chat will be, giving you a nudge, giving you some motivation, some accountability to get yourself out there. It really does help, and I'm always happy to do the same for other people when they need to get out. If you like running with other people, it might be that you arrange to do your runs with someone else so you won't want to let them down if it comes to getting ready and you don't feel like running. Or if you're a parent, it might be a case of making sure your spouse can be fully responsible for the childcare during that time you've allocated for running, and you can get your session done. Whatever it is, whatever your approach, many of us need to lean on other people in order to maximize our potential in running. And it's also a great way to build community and trust. Drop me a comment letting me know who your running support network are, because we all know they are angels on earth and deserve a shout out. So the next thing I recommend focusing on, and I'm definitely going to be focusing on in 2026, is your non-running habits that will help you maintain a healthy body. I kept saying I was going to do this in 2025 and I kept not doing it, at least not consistently, and I really did think it affected my training overall. So by these habits I mean things like nutrition, hydration, getting enough sleep, doing your strength training, reducing your stress. These things are so helpful in helping you to achieve your running goals, because they will make sure your body is in top condition, so when you're training you're actually maximizing the benefits of it, and you're also just feeling all round in optimum health. These are the bits that are so easily neglected in amateur runners, because we're all trying to navigate this around a full-time job or other commitments or parenting or whatever it may be. And if you're a pro runner, you know, of course you're going to be thinking about these things all the time. Like, sleep is as much part of your job as running is, but for the rest of us it's like those are the things that just take a dip when life gets busy and you're trying to squeeze your training in. But 2026 is the year I really prioritize these things, which is why I'm starting the year with a 75-day challenge, which brings in all of these habits. And I said more about that in my previous video, which you can watch. So the next point I'm going to recommend taking into 2026 is seeing a physio before you're injured. I really rate physios. I've seen physiotherapists a couple of times when I had a hip injury a couple of years ago, and more recently with a shoulder pain I was having that was impacting my running. And both times I have been blown away by how knowledgeable they are and how when you follow the exercises they set you, your injury genuinely does go away. Both times the results were incredibly swift. But something I didn't know until recently, which my coach told me, is that you can go see a physio before you're injured and they can check out for kind of weaknesses and imbalances and give you exercises to actually prevent you from getting injuries in areas where you might be more predisposed to getting injuries. You can ensure your body is getting stronger and more resilient, and you can mitigate those risks that might come up. And it just seems like such a no-brainer if you have the funds to make that happen, and I really hope I can do it this year. I acknowledge it is quite a luxury because physios aren't cheap, but if you do have the money, it's a great investment you can make towards avoiding injury and training setbacks in 2026. It's an investment in myself I am intending to make when my financial situation allows it. So the next point to up-level your running in 2026 is mindset work. I do a lot of work on mindset generally, but I haven't brought it that much specifically to running. If you're familiar with the concept of manifestation, it's about using your beliefs to create your reality. Now, I know this might sound a bit woo-woo to some, but it's fully backed in neuroscience. There is evidence that this works, and there's also, it all relates to quantum physics, so it is fully science-backed, but also it does feel quite woo-woo even when you're doing it, but that's okay. So a couple of ways I'm going to be doing this in 2026, and have already started with the new year, are with visualizations, affirmations, and future self journaling. For the visualizations, I've been creating voice recordings of things like getting ready on a race morning and everything evolving perfectly and everything in the race going perfectly, and kind of creating a story around that I can listen to and then visualize into my race day going perfectly. Or I've got one around my training week and how I'm motivated to get out for all my sessions, and it's kind of invoking these feelings of being in the present with these challenging situations and everything unfolding perfectly. And when your brain kind of rehearses this through the visualizations, it then feels ready when that real scenario comes around, and hopefully everything will go swimmingly. With these recordings, I put in as much detail as I possibly can because it makes it more vivid for my brain as it's interpreting it, and then we'll see how that comes into fruition when those situations do genuinely unfold. For affirmations, I know a lot of people find doing this cringe, but it's kind of saying the things that maybe you struggle with, but in a positive way. So something I struggle with is getting myself out on my runs, particularly when I'm tired or I've had a busy work day or I have a lot to juggle around. I get overwhelmed and find it hard to get out. So if I have affirmations that are things like, I'm feeling strong and motivated to get out for my run, I am organized, I am good at juggling my time, and kind of saying those things over and over to kind of trick your brain into making it true. And then future self journaling, I really love doing this, and it kind of works a bit similar to the visualizations, but it's about stepping into the version of your future self that has already achieved the outcome you desire. So for example, this year my biggest goal is to run the Hope Trail Festival 36-hour race. I would like to run at least 100k, but hopefully significantly more, and I would like to really make sure I give it the best I've got. So for future self journaling, I might you know, get into the mindset of me after having completed the race. I'd be journaling, writing things like, I've just finished the Hope Trails 36 hour. I'm so proud of how I did. I completed a much further distance than I ever imagined I could, and I'm so proud of myself. It was hard, but it still felt easeful. I really enjoyed it. It was tough, but I just kept pushing, and I really stuck to my nutrition strategy, and everything unfolded smoothly, and bringing more detail into it, but as if it's already happened. And that helps you to step into that version of you where everything has unfolded as you want. These kind of exercises have been so helpful to me in other areas of my life, and this year I'm going to be bringing it more to my running. Okay, another shift I am bringing to 2026 is redefining PBs, and this was another suggestion from my coach. But I realised that you can make the rules on PBs. Just because you set an amazing PB when you were young doesn't mean that has to be your all-time benchmark forever. So for me, I ran some times I was quite proud of in my mid-20s. Despite having quite an unhealthy lifestyle at the time and not really looking after myself, I had youth on my side, and I wasn't, you know, breaking any records, I wasn't smashing it, but I ran a kind of 23.5 minute 5K, whereas now I'd probably struggle to run a sub half hour 5K. I ran sub 2 hour, I think a 1:55 half marathon. I definitely wouldn't get close to that now. And it's definitely put me off running those distances again. I mean, I love, you know, trail running and ultra running, and I like that because every course is different and you don't really have a benchmark for what you should be running so much, and it's just doing your best on the day. But also over winter training, my coach is always trying to get me to do more kind of speed stuff, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this because I'm never going to get close to where I was before, and it's kind of drained on me a bit that I had these PBs in my mid-20s that now in my late 30s I'm never going to get close to. And she said to me, well, you know, that was your 20s PB, why don't you have a 30s PB as well? And I'm nearing the end of my 30s, I've got about a year and a half left, but I was like, oh, I really like that idea, and then when I go into my 40s I can set new PBs for my 40s. And I just really like that concept because no one else cares about your PBs unless you're a pro runner or whatever. And I think I've really limited myself by focusing so much on the fact that I'll never get near these PBs again. And I think this could work for other things. So say if you've had a serious injury, you might have your PB from before injury and after injury. Or if you've given birth, it might be you set a new PB from after giving birth than what you had before giving birth. And that's not to say you'll never beat the pre-birth one or whatever, but I just like the idea that you can set these benchmarks wherever you want. You make the rules, nobody's checking. And then the final thing I'm going to bring into 2026, and I would highly recommend this for a solid year of running, is choosing joy. This is one of my favorite points because it's only going to make your running life better. Whatever your running goals are, make sure you're centering joy as much of the time as you possibly can. I do acknowledge that not everybody who runs does find the feeling and the sensation of running joyful. People run for all sorts of reasons. I'm lucky that I do find a lot of joy from running, not always, not in every moment, but mostly it's a very joyful sport for me, and I'm super grateful for that. But if you don't usually find the act of running joyful, you can find other ways to center joy, like running with a friend that you always have a catch up with when you run, and you look forward to those moments of catching up with them, so you look forward to your run. Or it could be something like finishing your runs at your favorite cafe, so you can end every session with a good coffee and a croissant and just relax and soak up the vibes, and then you associate that feeling with running every time. I find that making videos and documenting my runs helps me bring a bit more joy to the runs. Whatever it is that brings joy to the process, it's important. Hard work is key, of course, but if it's all grind and no gaiety, what's the point? It's just not sustainable. So I'm taking all of these things into 2026 with me, and I'm excited to put the learnings from 2025 into practice and hopefully have my best running year so far. I wish all of you the best running year you've ever had in 2026, smashing all your 2026 goals and just having a really good time. If there's one thing I hope you can take from this, it's that your 2026 in running doesn't have to look impressive to anyone else. It just needs to be something that you can come back to, stay consistent and feel good. For me, 2026 is the year that I prove to myself I can consistently show up for myself. So wherever you're at right now, whether you're just starting out, coming back from time off, or trying to rebuild yourself after injury, or you're smashing it already and just want to have another great year, I hope that 2026 is everything you dream of. I'm going to keep showing up and sharing the journey as it unfolds. And if you are too, leave me a comment telling me your goals. Thank you so much for watching. It's a joy to have you here. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. For more videos for regular runners, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!